What's up, everybody? It's Evil Spectrum 3, and you are probably Batman fans. That's why we're talking about Batman. We get the new Batman movie coming out. Patterson, whatever. Robert Pattinson. Is it Pattinson? I don't remember. Anyway, I'm not a big fan of him. I'll tell you that right off the bat, that I'm not a big fan of Robert Pattinson. But maybe I will be, because, I mean, it was kind of like when Heath Ledger was cast as the Joker. You know, when Heath Ledger was cast as the Joker, at first you were like, what? Like the guy from, I mean, I thought about whatever that movie was, the 10 Rules for Dating My Daughter movie or whatever that was. That's the show, but I don't know, whatever the hell the movie was called. 9 Things I Hate About You, 10 Things I Hate About You, whatever the hell it was. I don't know. Anyway, you can tell that my brain is slowly melting since that movie came out and was like super popular when I was like 15 or whatever it was, and now I can't even remember the name of it, so you can tell my brain's fried. But I don't know, he looks good in the Batsuit. He looks right in the Batsuit. It looks all right to me. Looks just fine. Looks like he's supposed to, I guess. I don't know. He just has this douche look, you know, Pattinson, so I just, you know, not a fan, really, but whatever. The Twilight movies were just horrible, and I don't know, man. I almost can't believe it. But, hey, maybe he's going to be really good and cool, you know. But he's got that face. I just want to punch him in the face. I don't know what it is. But whatever. He's Bruce Wayne. He's going to be Batman. And, you know, I'm sure it's going to be good. But it looks like this Batman is definitely going to be a sort of a throwback, and it kind of, you know how things always kind of align with the world today and the current times and the way things are going. You know, when you look at when you look at the Batman TV show back in the day, how goofy it was in the 50s and 60s or whatever, you know, that certainly reflected the times and the TV times. You know, you look at, you know, Tim Burton's Batman, and it was so, you know, the first movie especially was a little gang-orientated with that sort of dark, kind of a bit of mysticism, or I don't know what the word is about Tim Burton's Batman, but more like some unbelievable type of stuff, right? Almost like just stuff that's not really believable, kind of magic, like, you know, the way that a lot of the villains and people operated. Like Selena Kyle falls out of her apartment, you know, she's like a zombie cat, you know. It's just sort of a very, you know, it's a step of the unbelievable, you know, which did reflect in some of the comics, of course, and stuff like that. And comics are full of that stuff, so it was a playground for Tim Burton. And then, of course, Christopher Nolan's Batman, which was more based on like reality. Like, what if Batman was real 100%, and there was like, you know, it was way more realistic, you know, and that was sort of Batman gang. It was like a mob movie with Batman, and it was just this more, and very high tech, right? There was a lot of high tech. There was a lot of tech used in that movie. For everything from the Batmobile to the, you know, to the weapons Batman used, to the suit, even just down to the suit. The damn suit was like super crazy. Like, basically the Batman in Christopher Nolan's Batman was like, it's weird because we got to see Batman Begins, right? So we got to see the beginning of Batman, which I believe still is the best movie of all the 3 Christopher Nolan Batmans. I still believe that Batman Begins is the best movie, because we see how he begins, and then we see he kind of just becomes Batman kind of super fast after that, right? Like, after he learns these things, he kind of gets into Batman pretty quick. And then before you know it, he's got all this high-tech stuff. So that's the only thing about Christopher Nolan's Batman, is he kind of goes from being the beginning of Batman to starting out. And then all of a sudden, he's got tech that Batman would have like 10 years later. You know what I mean? But he's got it right away. And part of that plays into the Wayne Corporation and sort of that sort of thing, and the militarization of his company. And so he has that as his disposal, and the excuse of why he has such high-tech stuff. So over the course of 3 movies, we really see Batman's tech from like 15 years, you know, all within 3 movies. This movie is going to be stripped down to the basics, it seems, a little bit more. This Batman is not, we're not going to see Batman begin, right? We're not going to see the beginning of Batman, really. We may get some flashbacks and things like that, but for the most part, this is going to be a Batman who's already been Batman for a little while, right? So we're going to get this is Batman after he's already been operating for about, I don't know exactly, about 2 years to 5 years. I'm assuming about a year or two in, right? So this Batman's already been around for a year or two in, and now this is where Robert Pattinson's Batman and the Batman is going to be. I guess. I'm assuming, because he's got some stuff already, but he's not super high-tech yet, right? He's nowhere near the tech that we see in the Christopher Nolan Batman, which still feels like it was just yesterday. We were talking about Christopher Nolan's Batman, and already we have another Batman. But when you think about it, one of the last Batmans in the Tim Burton series, or whatever you want to call it, the Schumacher one, wasn't that 97 or something? So I don't remember now, 96, 97. So, that wasn't that long. I guess it was about 10 years until we got a Christopher Nolan Batman. But now, what has it been? Has it almost been about that since we had a Batman again? Because I'm older, time goes by much faster. What's the last Batman? Dark Knight Rises, right? So the last Batman Dark Knight Rises was 2012. Okay, so it's been 8 years. So it's going to be 9 years by the time this comes out. So yeah, it's really, it seems like every 8 to 10 years we get a new Batman. So it's actually been a while. It doesn't feel that way. If you're a young kid, it probably does. If you're somebody who the Christopher Nolan Batmans came out when you were younger, it probably feels like a while for you that we haven't seen a Batman. So, but for me, who's 36, I feel like we just had Batman. So here we go again. But this Batman is definitely looking like it's going to be a throwback. And by the way, I'm gonna do a part 2 to this where I have Jake sit down with me, and he's gonna talk with me about Batman, and he's gonna give his impressions. So we're both gonna do a little podcast on this. So be on the lookout for part 2 of this podcast later on. But yeah, I just think that this Batman's going to be more of a mystery Batman, right? A mystery Batman. You got to solve mysteries, more like Sherlock Holmes. So my prediction is this Batman will be the most. This Batman will be more about clues and something is a mystery, and it seems that it's very obvious too that they'll go that way because the Riddler, I think, is the main villain in this movie, I believe. We have people like the Penguin and stuff like that in the movie. Like, if we look at the villain list, we have Selina Kyle. Zoe Kravitz is playing her. Colin Farrell is Oswald Cobblepot, the Penguin. Paul Dano is the Riddler. Alfred's going to be in this. Andy Serkis is playing Alfred. Apparently, Alfred's going to have a big deal in this movie. Carmine Falcone's in the movie, so there's the mob element that's going to be present still. James Gordon, is going to be in it. We're going to have Jeffrey Wright's playing Gordon, so that's different. Usually there's a lot more diversity in this movie. Usually it's like a white actor, so Jeffrey Wright's playing Gordon. Catwoman, when I was a kid, man, Catwoman was played, I forget who played Catwoman, but she was a black woman, and when I was a kid, played Catwoman. So I thought it was weird when they cast a white woman as Catwoman, actually, because I grew up with the old 50s show, and the girl who originally played it, I must have watched those episodes over and over again a million times until I was about 7 years old. And then I think Batman Returns came out when I was a little bit older, and I was like, whoa, what's going on? So I was really thrown off. It's funny. That shows you how set in your ways you see a character, you see somebody, and when they switch a race or a gender of somebody, like somebody becomes like a female is now like Sherlock Holmes is Watson. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, what? Like, it's so weird because you're used to a certain way. But I think that they do a good job of shaking up some of those elements in this without making it like, one of those new Hollywood SJW things. So I think they do enough to sort of diversify the cast so that it can relate to a wider audience, but without being a social justice warrior movie where some of the casting is ridiculous, So I think that that's okay. So I'm not too worried about that. But it definitely feels like it's going to have that retro, electro, 70s, 80s, electro, gritty Sherlock Holmes mystery vibe. That's what I'm getting from this Batman. That this Batman is going to be more psychological and mystery based, and there may even be a bit of a romance thing that's going to be more in depth as well, as opposed to maybe the last one where, oh, you know, I just love Rachel. You know, there was sort of like a side quickly, like the Batman Begins had a little bit of that story with Batman and you know, Rachel and everything, but you know, they really kind of bailed on it once Katie Holmes was out of the movie, and it was sort of a superficial thing, like, yeah, I'm the girl because I'm the girl and the guys like me, and that's it. It's kind of a throwback to all the other superhero movies in the 90s, and you know, where the woman is the damsel type of girl. You know, I think it's going to have more you know, invested in some sort of a romance thing that they're going to do. Not that I think that needs to happen, but, you know, current people nowadays, they're going to want that. They're going to want to grab the teen audience and the women teen audience. They've already got Robert Pattinson, you know, in it, you know, who's will appeal to them as well. But, you know, we'll see where they go with things as far as that goes. But, yeah, so those are all the looks. We got the grittiness, we got the mystery, we got the psychological, and I think they're going to step away from the technological and the a lot of that kind of, it's weird because it's almost like taking a step back, but you know what I mean, and we're going forward here. The Batmobile is so stripped down compared to the giant tank Batmobile, which I never liked, by the way. I never liked the Batmobile in the movies of Christopher Nolan. I just didn't like it. I loved the Batmobile in the 90s, the Tim Burton Batmobile. But after a little while, that looked kind of dated, you know, similar to how the Batmobile of the back in the day, the show back in the day, kind of like, obviously that thing looks ridiculous now. Like, you can't imagine like that's what Batman's gonna drive. Are you joking? But you know, and obviously it was cool. What did they call it? The Thunder? I don't even remember. Dude, I don't remember stuff. You know, you guys are probably screaming at your YouTube or audio, whatever you're listening to this podcast on. And I just think that, you know, it just looks so dated, the original Batmobile, that you can't really take it seriously. And even the 90s one, you know, it was super cool, but I think if you upgraded the 90s one, like there's the one in the Arkham game, right? A lot of the video game stuff looks pretty cool because it looks kind of like current, but has that sort of influence of the original, or not original, but the 90s Batmobile. And I think this Batmobile is going to be more of an industrial sort of, you know, Fast and the Furious Batmobile. This is the dark Fast and the Furious Batmobile. So we can see where things are shaping up a bit in this Batman. What do you guys think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. If you're listening on a podcast, if you guys want more of these podcasts and more of these things, the best way is to support my direct Patreon. Not only do I have 30 hours of bonus content you can't get on YouTube, but you also support the channel. So you can try in the description box down below, patreon.com. The link is down below, /Joe Cronin Show. That's my Patreon. And or you can feel free to donate live when I go live with live streams here. Those are the ways to support this channel, to keep these things going. But most importantly, subscribe for new content daily. Hit the like button, leave comments. Let me know you're out there. If you're a new listener especially, let me interact with you, give you that heart or something down below. This was part 1 of taking a look at Batman, the Batman, and we will take a look at it further, and further speculation will continue. There's been comments about the, you know, about where this movie is going and who's going to be in charge and what's going to be going on. Court of Owls has been something that has been mentioned a lot. The Court of Owls is an organized crime group, secret society, that appears in DC Comics, mostly associated with Batman. And apparently, you know, they've been secretly existing in Gotham City manipulating Gotham and running it from within, kind of like how you would describe our Illuminati, if you believe the Illuminati was running the world, or the the world government in America and all over the world, that sort of Illuminati, or secret society that's actually running things, with money, power, and secrecy and things like that. So Court of Owls could be something that plays a big role in this new Batman movie. Potentially, there's been a lot of signs and hints at it, and there's been a few leaks even that really, the leaks kind of raise more questions, but they do open the door for the possibility of things like that. So we don't know at all, but it could be something. So if you're interested in Court of Owls, that may be something you want to look into and read about before seeing the movie. But if you're more interested in being surprised and not knowing, then I would say stay away from all of that and watch the movie. And then maybe the movie will come out, and if it has anything to do with Court of Owls, then you're going to be wanting to go research more about it, and that'll be exciting. But then if you look up all the stuff on Court of Owls and go see the movie, you may kind of see things coming, and then you may kind of understand it more, and then you may, I don't know. So if you're the type of person that likes the information going in, I think I'm the type of person that enjoys seeing the movie first, not understanding everything fully, then going and reading the backstories of the Court of Owls and things like that, and then re-watching the movie again and being like, oh, that's what that is, and that's what this means. I think that's the most exciting way to do things. For instance, as example, Star Trek, when it was rebooted in the year 2009 from J.J. Abrams, and basically they rebooted Star Trek in an alternate universe, that way it wouldn't affect the other Star Trek, and they could do crazy things they never did before without insulting the fans because it's an alternate timeline, so who cares? So J.J. Abrams makes 3 movies. But before the movie in 2009, there was a countdown comic released, 4 parts of a comic. It had all this backstory on the villain, what the characters that we know are doing from the Next Generation, which was the most popular Star Trek that was out in the 90s after the original, obviously. So they tied in the movies using those comics. And when I saw the movie, there were backstory things and some elements that were non-existent in the movie. But the reason why characters were behaving the way they were was because of things that happened to them that were in the comics, that were vaguely explained in the movie. And had you seen the comics, or had you known the comics, the characters would have made a lot more sense to you. And I'm still to this day surprised. So if you did not read the comics, there are some motivations that you are still confused about in the movie. But if you read the comics, the backstory really helps the movie. But I always found that to be ridiculous, because if it's that important to the story, why the heck wasn't it in the movie? Like lots of main reasons for why the villain in the movie does what he does are in those comics. And in the movie, the villain just kind of like seems like a villain, and then they quickly explain like, oh, I saw my planet destroyed and all these things, and it's really just kind of like vague, like they just spit it out there. Oh, okay, whatever. But it's so much more impactful if you read the comics. That's my point. Anyway, what will you guys do? I don't know. Leave it in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Check out more of my videos. I have an update coming about Diablo 3 and some other video game stuff and some other movie things. We're going to talk about all of it. Bill and Ted's coming out in a little bit, so we're getting ready for that as well. Again, leave some comments below, and I will react to them, and we'll see how the videos do. We'll see you guys in the next video.